Hello, and welcome to In the Know at Churchville-Chili, the podcast intended to educate and empower caregivers by addressing important topics impacting their children and families. Each episode, we will discuss a different topic related to academics, social emotional wellness, mental health supports, or behavior, and provide useful resources to caregivers. This podcast is brought to you by the Churchville-Chili Flash Network. Hello and welcome to In the Know at Churchville-Chili. My name is Tracy Swabach. I am the coordinator of social emotional wellness and inclusivity and will be one of a handful of hosts for this podcast as we go along. Today we are discussing getting ready for the beginning of the school year for our elementary students with our Chestnut Ridge assistant principal, Jennifer Dixon. Jennifer has been an assistant principal for 9 years at CRS, and before her time at CRS, she was a special education administrator in the Rochester City School District. Jennifer, I'm so glad that you're here with me today.
Thank you so much, Tracy. I'm delighted to be here.
Although students have been out of school since June, I know that we've had a lot of staff working throughout the summer to get things ready for the new school year, curriculum writing, planning, all kinds of different wonderful things. They've been working really hard to make sure the buildings are ready to welcome our students back for a new and exciting school year. Since our first day of school is only about 2 weeks away, we thought it might be helpful for parents and guardians to talk about how to prepare for the beginning of the school year for our elementary students. So can you tell our parents and guardians what may be important to consider when preparing for a new school year?
Absolutely, Tracy. One of the things that I find to be most helpful for families is making sure that children and parents and families, guardians, start in advance with a routine.
Yes.
Sleep is so important to everyone. Making sure that your morning routine is set, getting ready your book bag, maybe packing your lunch the night before, laying out your clothes the night before, and having students find a spot in their homes for backpack checks. A lot of important information comes home in the book bag, and making sure that students know where they can place it in the home, and then families connecting with the book bag, going through it, making sure that lunches are taken out at the end of the day, and looking through important papers.
Wow, that's a lot of stuff to kind of get started, because you're right. I didn't even think about the backpacks where, you know, we're still going to sleep, we're still having our breakfast in the morning, but that's a new thing that's not happening throughout the summer of really being able to connect with that.
Absolutely.
The other thing I wanted to share with our parents and guardians, because you mentioned sleep, is that in May we had a sleep hygiene podcast. So that would be really cool for our parents if they have questions or anything specific that they want to know more about sleep hygiene, or if that's something that they're struggling with their students. I want to connect back to that podcast as well. So can you tell a little bit more about how parents can help students kind of connect their routines at home with how that's going to be beneficial with school?
Sure. One of the most important things is listening and following directions. Students will receive a lot of information throughout the day, and sometimes they'll be asked to act on it. Maybe stand up, line up, it's time for you to get ready for this, and doing a countdown. So making sure that there are time limits for transitions. 5 more minutes should actually be 5 more minutes.
That's a great point.
And sharing. Sometimes children come from homes where they're the only person and they are only child, and they don't have to share anything. So it's important that students know we may have access to community resources such as crayons and pencils, and the importance of it's okay to share. You use your words when you're sharing and ask for permission when you're sharing.
I love that. And I love how now when we start to have either getting our sleep routines in, our morning routines in, then that is going to help with that skill of following directions. Because if they're consistent, then they're going to start learning those skills, or at least maybe have those skills come back, because I know there's a lot of fun and flexibility during the summer, right? And so we want to make sure that our kids start to get back into, hey, school's about to start. Screen time is something, too, that may have increased when school is not in session. I know that my screen time has definitely increased, so I think that that's probably a given for a lot of people. So I'm wondering what suggestions that you might have for helping parents or guardians decrease screen time as they prepare for a new school year, because there's not going to be as much time for that.
Yes, making sure that you're setting screen time limits. Many times the students will only have maybe 10 to 15 minutes on a device at school, and it's okay to replicate that at home. We're also working on connecting the skills for school, having conversations, saying to your child, what did you do today? And then maybe more specific, what game or activity did you play in PE? Who did you sit next to in lunch? So making sure that you're avoiding the age-old answer of nothing, but then you're connecting it to something that the children actually did in school.
Oh, I love that. I think that's great about being able to ask those questions. And then you talked about how there's going to be probably screen time limits. We use different devices in school for learning and sometimes for some downtime and things like that. And I know that that's probably things that are done at home as well. But there are time frames, and there's going to be time frames for everything in school. So it's great to start putting those things into place. That's great. Also, so a lot of things are going to start happening where parents need to be aware. So as the school year begins, how do parents and guardians stay up to date with information from the school and from each of the elementary buildings?
One of the things that's most important is if you receive mail from school, please open it. I know there's a lot of things that come home the first few days and the first weeks of school, but please take the time just to look through. Shameless plug, Chestnut Ridge has one of the best Twitter accounts, but we're going to be transitioning to Instagram. So stay connected on social media, whether it be the district page or your school's specific page. Make sure that you are informed by following them. Curriculum nights will be coming up the beginning of the school year. Make sure that you are participating in Seesaw. I know a lot of teachers use Seesaw to send messages to families, and take advantage of opportunities in the buildings that provide students, families, and staff a chance to connect, similar to PTO events.
That sounds great. So just to connect for our families with some social media options is our district has a Facebook page. So much information goes out on that. And then like you said, both Twitter and we're moving to Instagram. So a lot of our buildings will have those. So it's going to be really important that when you connect with the buildings and they are saying, check out our Instagram page, that you become a follower of those different pages. What are some of the focus areas for our students at the beginning of the year that parents might want to be aware of to help prepare?
I love that you bring that up. Our building and across the district, in all the elementary schools, middle school, and high school, we are focusing on the language respectful, responsible, and ready. You may have noticed a matrix addressing these behaviors and discussing the specifics, and explicit teaching that will be happening in the buildings will come home in the mail. Sometimes you may see your children with a matrix because they've learned about it throughout the school day. And you may hear them saying to each other, we are respectful, we are responsible, and we are ready. So take a minute to look through those matrices that will come home. And if you have any questions, by all means, it's okay to reach out and ask.
I love that. And I think that some of the things that you talked about already talk about how to be ready. So we're talking about being respectful, we're talking about responsible, and we're talking about ready. And so our parents can really help us to get their students ready for school in these next 2 weeks. So when they come, they're prepared and they feel confident, right?
Absolutely.
And those are great words that I believe, lots of people are using both in, both school and at home. So I think that connecting those things about how our behaviors at home are connected to our school behaviors can be really helpful for our parents. So as we wrap up, I'm wondering, is there anything we missed or any final thoughts that you think parents and guardians should know?
No final thoughts. Enjoy the last moments of summer, because when school happens and starts, we will continue to create respectful, responsible, and ready learners.
Love that. Well, thank you so much, Jennifer, for being with us today. I certainly am looking forward to continuing this discussion and helping to prepare all of our students and even our staff and our parents and our community for the beginning of the school year.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to this episode of In the Know. We hope you found the information helpful. Please visit our district website and wellness hub at www.ccccsd.org/inthe-know for more information, resources, and who to contact for additional support. Now, you're in the know.